program. We are live. It is an ECU basketball game day. We'll get into that. Pirates hosting the Temple Owls tonight at 7 o'clock inside Minges Coliseum. If you got a question, a comment, a concern, drop it on YouTube, Facebook, or X. We'll get to it over the next hour. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios producing. As always, doing a great job. He's currently dialing up Kevin Monroe, ECU football analyst. We'll talk to Kevin about the Military Bowl, the offseason ahead, and much more here in a few minutes. Wanted to set the stage, obviously, later in today's program. We're going to talk some East Carolina basketball as the Pirates are 0-2 in conference, looking for their first win. We're also going to take a look around the American, though, and college basketball as a whole, because Philip was in Cameron Indoor Stadium last night. We'll touch on that, the SEC's dominance, the ACC. We're going to touch on some recruiting as well. East Carolina just had a big visit from a former four-star recruit from the SEC. I'll share the latest on that. And then later this week, just to kind of set the stage, Thursday, we're going to have one of our interns, Brady Thomas, on. We're going to take a look at the college football playoff, the NFL playoff, continue to delve into college basketball, and then Bobby Harvard will be on Friday. We'll pick every single playoff game for the NFL. But first up, we got Kevin Monroe, ECU analyst on the Pirate Sports Network, has called the football games all season long and wrapped it up with the Military Bowl victory over NC State. We haven't had a chance to get Kevin back on since then. So, Kevin, first off, Happy New Year. Hope your family had a good Christmas and good holidays. But how about those Pirates in the Military Bowl? What did you think of the game?
Man, that was exciting. And, doing my research heading into the game, I realized that for whatever reason, State was getting outscored by most of their opponents in the first quarter. It was, almost by 100 points, something crazy like that. And so I thought the Pirates had a chance if they came out and ran their offense the way that we know that they can to jump out to a lead. And of course, they jump out and score early and they get the 10-0 lead. So you felt good about that. But then on the flip side of that, NC State had outscored opponents in the fourth quarter by a large amount, almost the same as the first quarter. So you knew they'd come back, and they did. They come back and take the lead, late in the game, 21-20, I think. And, just having that when the Pirates were up 20-7, you kind of felt a little weird about that, like not having that full 14-point lead. And, of course, it comes back to bite you when they go up by one. And so just to see them continue to fight, stay in it, not give up, not quit, come up with the big plays when they needed to, it was a solid win for the program, solid win for the fans, and a big one for Blake Harrell, for all the people that wanted to say that his schedule maybe on the back end was weaker than that of what Coach Houston had to face. This was one of those games where, hey, it's a bowl game, big game, Power 4 opponent, and they were able to get the victory. So that was exciting. It was fun to watch and a good way to end the season.
Kevin Monroe is with us, ECU Sports Network analyst. We're talking about the Pirates football season. We'll take a look ahead to 2025 here in a little bit. But, it's a big win, Kevin, for the reasons you mentioned. East Carolina had not beaten an in-state FBS opponent since 2018 versus North Carolina, when Scotty Montgomery was the head coach. For whatever reason, Mike Houston struggled in those games. I don't think it's necessarily all his fault. It was just one of those things where they couldn't make the plays, couldn't make the kicks. And Blake Harrell, in his first shot as a head coach, gets the W there. He was, of course, on many of those staffs. But I don't know, what can just a win from a confidence perspective for the program, for the fan base, for the players? The way college football is going, I kept hearing, hey, I just don't know if ECU is ever going to be able to beat, teams like NC State, North Carolina, ACC teams again. Well, they did in the bowl game. So what does this do for kind of the program moving into the offseason?
Well, what it does is, we're heading into prime recruiting season, right? And so, everybody that's being recruited by East Carolina maybe isn't necessarily being recruited by NC State, but there's a lot of commonality there. And so when you get a kid that you're bringing in and State, is in a bit of turmoil, there's rumors around the coach being fired, although I don't think that'll happen. And, they finish the season with a losing record. They just don't look good, as opposed to a program that's won 5 out of its last 6. The coach just got a brand new contract. oh, and by the way, they beat that other team you're being recruited by. Things are looking good. It's just a different vibe when you win that game as opposed to losing it. And so everything is about recruiting this day and age, because of the portal, because of NIL money. Players want to win, but they also want to get paid. And so if they can't necessarily get as much money as they want, they at least want to be somewhere where they can win ball games. So I think that in itself is a boost to the program to have that bragging rights over NC State at least for the next 8 months heading into that opening weekend. But that's where I would lie things is with recruiting. I think that's the most important thing going on with football when the season ends. And so hopefully Coach Harrell has seen some uptick in recruiting since that victory.
Kevin Monroe is with us, ECU Sports Network. And Kevin, I got to be honest, I was driving back from Annapolis on Sunday, the day after the game. I wanted to hear Jim Szoke and yourself on the call for Rajay Harris's touchdown run. So I queued up the IBX media app and listened to the end of it. And I think I can't remember the exact phrase, maybe a what just happened we got from Kevin Monroe. So take us through that moment. And obviously, look, Jeff Charles, rest in peace. It would have been just, amazing to hear his call. But Jim, I thought, did a great job as well. And just being a part of that moment from the booth.
Jim is becoming a pirate, isn't he? Like you can start to hear it in his voice. Last season and prior, it was almost like he was a professional doing the game, and that's what he is. The ultimate professional. But you're starting to get the emotion out of him when the Pirates do something good. And so that call was not something you can plan. You could tell the surprise in both of our voices. I mean, it's 3rd and 10, backed up on your own 14-yard line. You run the football, so there's this, oh my God, what's happening kind of moment, and then, oh my God, what's happening moment. And so it was exciting. It was just pure emotion. Glad to hear Jim get excited. Of course, I'm going to get excited. I had Philip send that clip over to me as well because I wanted to listen to it a few times, let my family listen to it, and everybody just lit up when they kind of heard it because it was just such raw emotion on that play. Just a great time to be a Pirate and a really cool way to finish that game off.
Yeah, and for Rajay Harris, Kevin, who in this day and age, 5 years at East Carolina, high school recruit, his first ever offer from ECU as a sophomore. Commits to ECU later on, obviously comes ECU, battles injury, and for the rest of the senior class, it just, to send them off that way, how special was that? And for Rajay specifically to get that run to close it out.
Well, there's, Rajay Harris is the real deal, and you hate it that he had some injuries along the way because he showed from his freshman year that he was going to be a big time back, and to be able to share a few years with Keaton Mitchell, that was really cool to have kind of both of them playing off of each other. But he proved, early on in his career that he could be the kind of the every down back or the back you can count on, and then he proved it again this year. And when he played well, the Pirates won. And that was, when he didn't get the ball and didn't have many yards, we didn't win. And so that was kind of the recipe there. So just love that kid, love what he gave to the program. And you're right. He probably came in this year. Obviously, he had the injury, but he came in this year, probably had some options to go other places if he wanted to, and he didn't. And it's going to be tough to have a kid. This is going to now be probably a lot more sparse in that you have a kid recruited by the Pirates, signs out of high school with the Pirates, comes, has a great career, and plays 4 or 5 years and goes out as a Pirate. As strange as that is to say, that's not going to be the norm going forward because if you have that, that great career, that means there was a year or two in there where you played really, really well and you probably deserve to get paid more money. And there's other teams out there looking to poach you, and you may go to greener pastures. I hope that's not the case. I hope the Pirates continue to give to Team Boneyard and build up that sack of money so they can help these guys to stay here. But in this day and age, to have a guy there 4 or 5 years is not going to happen for a player that's really, really good. For a player that's average or a player that's good, sure. Because it's not going to have many opportunities elsewhere and make more money and get an opportunity to play. But for somebody like Rajay, this is a player we should look back on and think and be very grateful that we kept him this long.
And Kevin, kind of a bigger picture discussion here, but I've always looked at it as, and it's easier, maybe to say than do. But if you're Rajay, now you leave a true legacy at ECU. Like he's going to probably be an ECU Hall of Famer now one day. And
Hmm.
like if he would
Hmm.
have left and didn't have that run, didn't have this year, then yeah, he'll be remembered for his time at ECU, but he won't be, I don't know, a legend. And so like I don't know, maybe most young men that are playing college football don't think of it that way, and they're just looking for the quick payday. But for me, like as somebody who covers the sport, I think leaving a legacy should still mean something. But I guess when money talks, it's kind of hard to say no to that as well.
Well, when you come out of high school as a really good player, meaning you were, one of the best on your team, you're all conference, you're potentially all state, you maybe have stars by your name, then at that point you're thinking, okay, I'm better than most. I'm going to the NFL. That's my goal. And so you start from there to make all your decisions based on how do I get to the NFL? Because I don't want to work a 9 to 5 and sit behind a desk. How do I get to the NFL? And so your decision about college is going to be based on that. Your decision about whether you stay at a certain school is going to be based on that. Your decision about whether you leave school early is going to be based on that. Everything obviously has to fall in the line, but that's what you're thinking about. And so yeah, you're not coming out of high school thinking I want to be a legend at so and so school. You're thinking about what school is going to give me the best opportunity to get to the NFL. That's the reason that UNC is going to be so attractive to these players coming out of the next few years because of the Belichick factor. I mean, it has nothing to do with UNC the school because they may not have chosen UNC coming out a year, or two, or three, or four before. But now, because of Bill Belichick, that all changes because it's all about getting to the NFL. And so you may even see guys stay there and make less money because he's promised them these connections and this opportunity to go to the NFL. So yeah, I think what you're saying is true. It's cool to be a legend, to leave a legacy at a school, to be considered one of the best, but it's not a driving factor, I don't think, for a lot of these guys.
Kevin Monroe with us, ECU Sports Network analyst, looking ahead to 2025. Kevin, some big questions, which I mean, look, every school is going to have big questions this day and age for the reasons we're talking about. The transfer portal, guys leaving, nobody's immune to it. Even Alabama, teams in the SEC, we're seeing NC State's roster, their whole secondary hit the portal right before the deadline, which kind of left them in a tough spot. So I don't know. What are your expectations for 25 with all the turnover, but also with Caton Hauser coming back, John David Baker coming back, Blake Harrell back. He's hired a new DC. So, any early thoughts on 2025?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to me to see the corners and DBs that left after the bowl game because after you know, Chavone leaves and then IBM leaves, if you're a corner, it is wide open. Like I'd be back in a hurry trying to lock down my position if I'm Nash, if I'm, Wilson Lamp, Gavin Gibson's more of a safety, but can play both, more of a nickel guy, can play both. Um, and these guys, I guess Gibson's a little bit different because he was maybe a little bit higher quality player and came from a Power Four school and wanted to get back there. But these other guys, I was very very surprised to see them hop in the portal. And once that started happening, I said to myself, I think we're going to have a new cornerback coach next year. And obviously that's one of the first early hires because if your whole position room is jumping in the portal, it says something about you as well. I hate to lay that at the coach, but you form a bond with these coaches. Like these coaches become your extended family member. They become your extended father away from home, and it's not easy to leave those guys. Even for money, it's not easy to leave those guys. And so to have so many of them leave, I just felt like there was some dysfunction there. And that's just my own personal thoughts. I don't know them. I don't know the defensive back coach very well, and I don't know these players that well. But that's just my thought process. So to see all those guys jump in the portal, I was surprised by that, and I wasn't surprised to see a new cornerbacks coach hired. But yeah, next season I think with Hauser coming back, the receiving room is looking good. Kid come from Oklahoma. I think that's strong. We've gotten some offensive linemen, both as signees and in the portal. So I think that offensive line play is going to be better. I like what I'm seeing at running back from both the signees and what's coming back on the team already. So offensively, I feel really good about the way things are going to be. Defensively, we had a lot to replace specifically on the defensive line and that linebacker. So glad to see some guys that we signed and gotten in the portal. That'll be helpful. But the defensive back room has been a little bit decimated. So to have, a guy like Tegan Wilk come back and sign the kid out of Western Carolina, he looks like he's going to be a good player. Glad to see some of those guys get signed. I think here recently we've had another couple guys in the portal that we picked up. So, those are unknown guys. So we'll have to see how they shake out. So the defensive line, in my mind, defensive line and DBs will be the two question marks coming into the season. To see what the players look like at those positions, and you'll have guys that didn't play a whole lot, specifically as Pirates last year. So that's a concern. But offensively, I feel pretty good, and I think that if the guys that we signed show up, this will be a good team again next year.
I mean, that's the thing, Kevin. You look at the defensive line, you basically lost your whole two deep, which is a great thing about having all the seniors that they had was it made for a really good run defense, but now you got to find a way to replace those guys. I do like the corners they have signed. Jordy Lowry out of Western. He had 6 interceptions a year ago, and they just signed a Division II kid out of Indianapolis who had 5 picks as a true freshman. So I don't know, Kevin. I kind of like the thought of they are recruiting some guys coming down from the Power 4 that are seeking more playing time, but also finding these guys who played smaller football who maybe are a little bit off the radar. Now, you can't live off those guys, I don't think, but what's your take on taking some guys who maybe come in with a little chip on their shoulder, something to prove?
No, I love that. I get a little bit nervous about defensive back because I know the position, right? And the perspective on interceptions and pass breakups is one where, okay, if you get your opportunities, you got to make the plays. So you got to have those numbers. However, if you show up and show teams they better not throw your way, you're not getting opportunities. So, somebody looks at Travis Hunter's resume at corner, they're like, oh, well, he didn't have that many picks, blah, blah, blah. Well, teams weren't throwing his way. And the better corners, they don't throw on those guys. And so you get a kid with 6 picks, you're thinking, oh, that's great. Well, I'm thinking, well, why do they keep throwing his way? And so it's good and bad with the defensive back position if you have a lot of stats. But I will say, when you turn on the film and you see a guy get physical, you see a guy, make plays on the football, you see him track the football well and always be in the receiver's back pocket, that's the kind of guy you want. So I hope they turn out to be those guys. But, yeah, I have no problem with the JUCO route. I have no problem with the Division II route or FCS route where you're finding guys that have gone places, maybe were overlooked out of college, out of high school, and have flipped that switch and have shown people what they can do at the college level. Yeah, they deserve an opportunity, and you're going to get some of that. You're going to get some of the guys coming down from the bigger schools who maybe thought they were better than they were, or maybe they were good, but they were behind 3 or 4 other guys and decided they wanted to come down, to where East Carolina is and get an opportunity to play. So I like it from both directions in that regard. But the small school thing is it could be a niche for the Pirates to be able to just find some of those diamonds in the rough.
Last thing for you, Kevin Monroe, been gracious with your time today. Let's get the Marcus Monroe update as 2026 class, North Raleigh Christian Academy. We talked about his breakout season this year. And more schools starting to look his way. And this is a big spring for the 26 class. Coaches are on the road now. Monday was the first day. So anything in the plans for Marcus, or just how big of a spring is this for his recruitment?
It's a huge spring, and specifically this offseason, we just kind of figured that the way he's growing. I mean, he's grown 10 inches since he's been in high school. He's grown another ½ inch over the last 6 months, so he's borderline 6'4" right now. Put him at 6'3.5", and we decided that based on the way he's growing, that we should focus on flex tight end, right? And so that's going to be his path to college. If you think about him, if you want to compare him to ECU players, I see him somewhere in between size-wise and ability-wise, somewhere in between Yannick Smith and Desario Riles. That bigger body that tracks the football well, catches the football well, and can do those things. And so for us, getting film out there for teams to say, okay, we see this guy as a tight end, even though he played receiver in high school, is kind of what we've been working on. And so, yeah, as we talk to coaches, we're letting them know, and he's already put on 10, 12 pounds since the season ended. He's lifting 4 days a week and doing speed drills and just trying to develop himself into a college tight end. And so it's exciting. The coaches are out. He's hearing from some coaches, and there's supposed to be a coach visiting his school today. So I'm excited to hear how that went. But yeah, just getting the word out, letting these coaches know what his expectations are and what he wants to do, and to see where he might fit in their program is where we're at.
Kevin, great stuff, man. We'll try to link up soon with Marcus, get him an article done on 24/7 Sports and everything. So I'll be in touch with you for that. But appreciate your insight all season long. Now that football's over, we'll give you some time off for a little bit, and we'll be calling your number, I'm sure, sometime this summer leading up to the season. But we appreciate it, Kevin.
No, thank you, Igo. I've enjoyed doing this all season, man. You have a great show, and it's a lot of fun.
Appreciate it. That is Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst. It was awesome to hear him on the call in Annapolis on Rajay's run and all the other big plays during the Military Bowl with Jim Szoke and the ECU Sports Network. All right, we're going to get a break in. Philip Pilkington will join us on the other side. We're going to talk some hoops. East Carolina takes on Temple tonight. We'll take a look around college basketball as a whole and discuss the American after 2 games for most teams in the league. This is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Play here. Arr! This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo.
Yes! That was so good!
On 94.3, The Game.
All right, welcome in, Hoist the Colors. We just talked to Kevin Monroe, ECU football alum and color analyst on the ECU Sports Network. It was great to catch up with him. We'll check in with him more so later this offseason, but we'll have a feature article on his son, Marcus Monroe, 2026 class. Looks like he's going to project as a tight end on 24/7 Sports. So stay tuned for that. We'll probably try to get that done towards the latter part of this month when high school recruiting really kicks off for the 26 class. All right, Philip Pilkington is in the 94.3 The Game studios. Philip was at a college basketball game last night. He was also at a college basketball game on Sunday inside Minji's Coliseum. That one ended with an FAU win and a frustrating loss for ECU. We'll talk ECU in a minute, but you got to see Duke put it on Pittsburgh. You went to the same game last year and saw Pittsburgh win. This time you get to see your Blue Devils win. So how was the atmosphere?
Yeah, it was solid. It was still Christmas break, so there were students. The first 2 rows of the student section were students, and then kind of all the rows back of the crazies within 5 feet either side of midcourt was. But as you kind of got to the outer skirts of the student section, in those latter rows, it was a lot more of average Joes like us who had bought tickets. So it wasn't the most hype atmosphere I had ever seen in Cameron, but it was good to go back and see them win because, like I said, last year, Scooter and I went, and they lost, and Scooter watched the Duke Carolina game with me last year, and Duke lost. So I'm never again watching a Duke game with Scooter, and if Scooter ever wants to go to a Panthers game, I'm going to tell him that he can go with someone else, and I love him, but I hate him at the same time. So I'm not watching my teams play with Scooter.
Everything is Scooter's fault.
It's always Scooter's fault.
That is 100% true. Did you have a good vantage point of Cooper Flagg's throwdown?
Yeah, actually it was great. We were sitting on the opposite end of the court, and so we got to see it in perfection. Almost would have been bad if it was coming at you, because then the goal would have kind of been blocking you. So I actually had a great view because we weren't on the sides, so we didn't have the head turned, and it was perfect view for us.
Sick dunk for sure. And Duke is what, 4th nationally right now?
Yeah, I think something like that.
I want to say it is something ranking. Okay. All right, we'll get more into the national college basketball picture in a minute. Have you seen the line for tonight's Temple ECU game, Philip?
No, I haven't. My betting degeneracy doesn't start till after our show.
All right, so can you guess the line? Temple is at East Carolina tonight. What do you think the line is?
I'm going to get flack for saying this, but Vegas always gives too much respect sometimes to ECU.
They really do.
So because of that, I'm going to say the Pirates are favored by 2 points.
The Pirates are favored by 3.5 points.
Hey, I was close.
That is a really good guess. And honestly, I guess I'm not shocked at this point. Yeah, I just 3.5 feels a little rich. Now ECU has dominated this series for the last few years. As bad as ECU basketball has been, Philip, one thing they have done well is beat Temple. They also had the Jordan Riley factor. Temple on the road has been inconsistent, but still, I mean, if you're giving me 3.5 with another team in the American right now, I think I'm taking that. Now, we also thought FAU minus 2.5 was an easy win, and of course, ECU lost by 2. Sometimes I feel
not
like
good at this either.
I feel like we're just living in a simulation, or Vegas is just running this whole thing. It doesn't feel real. Like the way that game ended, like ECU should have had to foul to lose by more than 2, but somehow they miraculously got off just enough shots that they missed without having to foul to lose by 2.
There was one foul called on ECU late that they called a shooting foul that was not. They gave us an N1. I was like, I think you and I looked at each other media row. We're like, yes. Is this the NBA? And that's when we thought Vegas was behind it in the officials here. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see Temple tonight. Like I said, it seems like when I first got here, we could never beat Temple. And now, over the last few years, like I said, we've dominated, and that was even with Temple always having a little bit of a decent fan base because Damian Dunn from Kinston has been on the team the last few years. He was playing in the state of North Carolina last night. He got ejected in Cameron Indoor late in that game, so he won't be there. So we don't have the local Kinston, connection, I guess, to Temple this year. But it's weird because this is a team that, yeah, they're not the Temple Tough of old, but this year it has seemed like they're kind of rebounding back to that team they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. I think they're 9-5. Moshburn is a hell of a player. He shoots 44% from downtown, and he's more than just a scorer. He does it both ends of the floor. And, I think this is a tough, gritty team. They attempt the 8th or 9th most free throws of any team in the country, so they get downhill. They attack your post guys. You have to have post depth to play against them because they will get your bigs in foul trouble. So we're going to have to see a decent amount probably of Reed Kaysen and or Callum Richard tonight just by default. I'm sure Sear will pick up a few fouls because that's what happens when you play Temple. So, I think there's some storylines in this game, and really there is all the way around the American this early in the season, because right now it looks like Memphis is the number one. I think North Texas has solidified themselves as the number two, especially with that performance they put in the FedEx Forum on Sunday afternoon, and then the rest of the conference, 3 through, I don't know, we have 14 teams or some crap like that now. I don't even know how many teams are in the league. It kind of seems like it's a fight for third.
Let's see, I'm doing math here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 teams. Does that feel
an
right?
Odd number?
Wait.
Oh, yeah,
I think I'm leaving somebody out.
No,
I guess because you have Wichita.
Well, you have Wichita. So because Army and Navy are both non-basketball members, that brings us down to 12. Wichita brings us up to 13 because people were asking Tim Pernetti if he wanted to add a 14th member, and he said he was open to it, but he wanted to add the right 14th member, and people were speculating VCU or Wilmington or something like that.
Yeah, so 13 teams. East Carolina is one of 4 0-2 teams. Wichita State is 0-2. Charlotte is 0-2. UTSA is 0-2. 2-0 teams right now. You've got Memphis. Rice, which has beaten Tulsa and Charlotte with a first-year coach, and then South Florida 2-0. How about South Florida obviously losing their coach before the season? They beat ECU, and then they went on the road to Wichita, shot like 46% from 3 or something like that, and won by 20. So I tell you what, it'd be cool to see USF if they could go on a run, Philip, kind of similar last year in honor of their coach, and pull out some wins.
Yeah, I don't think this team is as talented as they were a year ago, but I remember coming into the season before the unfortunate passing of the coach, I still thought, hey, look, this is a team that should probably get a double bye in the tournament, thinking they would be top 4. Memphis was clearly better at the time. We thought UAB was better. They've been a huge disappointment. But we thought South Florida was kind of right there, and they had some struggles at a conference. But when you go through something that emotional, these things are going to happen. I think they're refinding their identity, kind of rekindling their mojo. And I think they can be a force to be reckoned with in this conference. Like I said, they were one of the better teams in this league a year ago. Like I said, they put together that run. He had brought in all those transfers from Kennesaw State. It really works. Now, some of those guys still aren't there, but this is a good roster and definitely a team that if somebody's going to jump up and upset Memphis, it's going to be them or North Texas.
Tulane is quietly 2-1 after a poor non-conference. They're scoring a bunch of points, but again, they have beaten Charlotte and UTSA, and they went on the road to UAB and lost 81-69. UAB has looked better after just a pretty rough non-conference, again, preseason favorite. They beat Tulsa 83-51, only lost by 3 at North Texas, and then beat Tulane 81-69. So I don't know, like you kind of said, Phil, but it feels like a race for third. I don't think UAB is as good as most people projected. They have not won a road game yet in a couple of tries, but unfortunately, this looks like a one-bid league right now. North Texas is in the top 100 in RPI, but not within at-large range. So your best chance of it being a multi-bid league, unless North Texas just goes 14-2 or whatever in non-conferences, Memphis wins the regular season, and then you get an automatic. Unfortunately, the conference is very down this year.
It is. It really is. It will be a one-bid or a one-bid plus bid stealer league, like you said. Tulane's an interesting one. They remind me a lot of last year's team in the fact that you mentioned the offense is good, but they let up a lot of points. Now, they struggled out of conference because they were trying to find their identity offensively. Their big guys from last year all graduated or transferred. When you look at Jalen Forbes, when you look at Cross, Sion James, they all left, and that was the bulk of their scoring from a year ago, but they still kind of have that Tulane identity of we're going to beat you 98-95. Like you said, the out-of-conference, they struggled, but their offense just seems to have a little bit more flow here over the last couple weeks. Like I said, they're still letting up a lot of points, but that's another team that it's like, hey, man, if they're shooting at their full ability and you have a night where you don't make as many baskets as you think you can because you're going to have to put up 80 to beat them, you could really get caught by Tulane. Now, again, their RPI, to your point, not going to be good enough to get an at-large bid. Same thing with North Texas. So it's, like you said, it's going to be Memphis or Memphis plus a conference champion.
All right, we got some good questions in the chat. We're going to get to those after this break. We got some basketball-related comments. Also got a recruiting question as well I want to touch on and a little bit more. So we'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll talk about that and more. This is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo. How good is this on 94.3 The Game?
All right, welcome in. Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday. We're talking some ECU basketball, some American, look around the American. And we got some comments that we need to get to. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios. He can weigh in as well. Lane Smith says, please no basketball, just baseball. Basketball is over, says Lane. When does baseball talk come back? When should we start talking baseball, Philip, as the season is February 14th, first pitch? So I don't know. I feel like we at least got to give it another week before we start like our baseball previews.
So I'm hanging out with Wags Friday night, who's going to give me all the insight and get me up to speed so I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. So anytime starting next Monday, I'm good. Let me hang out with Wags, and then I'll be good to talk baseball because that's kind of what gets me back in the baseball mode is when I hang out with him.
And I'm going to be honest, man. I can't walk outside. You know, it was 27 degrees this morning. I can't talk baseball when it's sub 30 degrees. I just can't do it. And I know that there's going to be some cold games in February.
The LeClaire Classic, like always.
Yeah, the LeClaire Classic will undoubtedly be 32 degrees and rainy. But I don't know. I just need like some baseball weather. I need the Seattle Mariners to like make an acquisition of some sort for me to get excited about anything baseball related. They have not done anything all off season. So that is my take. But look, I will say this. It'll be the most intriguing baseball preseason because there are so many questions. Outside of, we know Dixon Williams is going to hit top, middle of the order. We know Ethan Norby is going to pitch a lot. Sounds like he'll start in the bullpen. I mean, outside of that, and Riley Johnson in center field with 2 new shoulders, I mean, it is kind of an unknown. Now, we do have some ideas of new pieces, but, look for some more baseball talk to start up, really laying towards the middle to end of the month. We'll have baseball media day. We'll really get into it then. The semester doesn't even start till Monday, so I would expect us to get into it at that point. And we'll get a Bucks on the Pond show as well, because that podcast will come back towards the end of January, our ECU Baseball Hoist the Colors podcast. All right. Andrew says, this is not tongue-in-cheek. I watch a lot of high school basketball because of my job. He says the majority of games have cleaner play than ECU basketball. It's painful to watch ECU. Too many turnovers, too many missed layups, too many missed free throws, fast break, pull-up threes are garbage when we are already bad at shooting the three. No one is strong with the ball. They get a pointer finger to the shoulder, and they chuck the ball into the stands. Go up strong with the ball. So Andrew weighing in on some basketball there. Can't disagree with much of that. Andrew, I will say ECU is one of the lowest turnover rate teams in college basketball, but a lot of that is because they do run some shot clock and don't really force it a whole lot. But, I mean, look, you can't deny the shooting woes, Phillip, and this team doesn't really have a point guard. We haven't really talked about the Julian Samaro situation. He just, whatever reason, I had to ask after the game. I can't remember. Were you in the press conference? I had to, clarify.
Yeah.
He's going to be with the team, but he is not choosing to play basketball.
Yeah.
Is essentially what I got. I mean, something's got to be going on there. I don't know if he's trying to get a year back due to injury or something, but, that's one of your guys who was projected to be a point guard. He's now not going to play basketball, so you're down to Cam Hayes. Your only other point guard on the roster is Tybo Bailey. He's a walk-on, but I don't know. No true point guard with shooting, and that makes it kind of difficult, but I don't know. I know a lot of people are just frustrated with the brand they're playing right now.
Yeah, it is. And, the tough thing is Tybo was also injured or sick this past week, so he didn't play. As far as I know, he should be good to go tomorrow night. I forgot to ask for it yesterday. But, So, actually, Bailey's been a little bit of a pleasant surprise. He's not been the guy you want to as your go-to point guard, but they said walk on. You didn't even know how much he was going to play. He's one of the guys who's not receiving NIL money, but he's, I don't mind him getting 10, 12 minutes a game, but the tough thing, and you mentioned the going up strong and the missed layups, that's the other frustrating side of this, right? If you're not a good three-point shooting team, you need to be a low block scoring team. You have these big physical bigs that can go up strong. I'll be honest with you, it's not going to be an ECU comment I'm about to make. This is a college basketball comment. There are not many big men right now in the country that go up strong, and Dalton Connect and Armando Baycott are gone. There ain't nobody left. Even watching Duke last night with Malawach, he's 7'3", and he's a big dude, but he doesn't go up strong. He gets the ball ripped away half the time. Post players in modern-day college basketball are not actually post players. Just going to say it.
That's because they all grow up doing this.
Yeah.
They all grow up shooting the basketball, shooting threes. It's a cool thing to do. I get it. I grew up shooting too. I wasn't a low block player. I'm not a basketball player in any regards. I would get embarrassed out there. But I don't know. I just feel like nobody – I do agree with Andrew. Nobody is really strong with the ball outside of R.J. Felton. And even he, for whatever reason, has had butterfingers. I do feel like he got his mojo back last game, which was good to see. He started that second half takeover. But that's the thing, Phil. It's a team full of slashers. And if you don't finish at the rim and you're a slashing team and you don't make free throws – you're not going to win games. So it's pretty simple. So some comments there from Andrew. Hunter Corbett says Vegas must have factored in the Jordan Riley revenge game in the betting line. Again, ECU 3.5-point favorites. I don't know if we can actually talk betting in Temple basketball. As Heizier Miller, their point guard last year, actually is being investigated, I think, by the FBI for point shaving. So I do know somebody with the Temple basketball program or that covers him said that the FBI came in and took every single cell phone of everybody affiliated with the program last year. So interesting stuff there. And
basketball
then they found
version
Heizier.
of the longest yard.
Yeah, So interested to see the fallout from that story. But that is why Hyzier Miller went from on the Virginia Tech roster in the preseason to being taken off of it. Thick Poppy says, are we done in the portal? Any update on the Houston defensive lineman who is waiting to commit? So ECU is not done in the portal, Thick Poppy. They actually had a transfer visitor, Aiden Williams, former four-star recruit from Ole Miss. He was on campus yesterday, and Javonte Connor, Ole Miss transfer tight end last year, was showing him around. Now, here's what's going on with Aiden Williams. Obviously, very talented player. He's from Mississippi. So our Mississippi State 24/7 Sports site has submitted a crystal ball for Aiden Williams to go to Mississippi State after spending 2 years at Ole Miss. They are saying that basically the family wants him close to home, all that sort of stuff. Now, Javonte Connor, if you're on social media, he's like quote tweeting the Mississippi State crystal ball people and is like sending out a video of if y'all only knew what I knew with like laughing emojis. So I don't know what Aiden Williams is telling Javonte Connor, that maybe he's coming to ECU or whatnot. I do know Aiden Williams has not committed to the coaching staff to my knowledge, so I don't think he's going to be a Pirate tomorrow, but he was originally scheduled to visit Mississippi State today. That was then pushed to Thursday. So I would think if he gets on campus at Mississippi State, it's going to be tough for ECU to get this one. If he does make a decision today, maybe he becomes a Pirate, but he's a 6'3", 200-pound receiver. Again, would be a guy who could come and compete for immediate playing time. They also are still looking to add Thick Poppy a few positions of need. Linebacker specifically, they lost 2 starters there. They got some young guys, but would like to add an older guy. Also, the nickel cornerback safety position, they would like to add at those spots as well. And then the person you were asking about is Nadame Tucker out of Houston. We had Tegan Wilk on yesterday's show. Now, Nadame Tucker told me yesterday that essentially he's working with compliance to get eligible, and he's working with the NCAA to get his JUCO extension waiver, but he's waiting on the NCAA to get that done. Houston, the University of Houston, has submitted that to the NCAA, according to Tucker, and they're waiting for the NCAA to get it done. And then if that goes through, he would be eligible to enroll at ECU basically right away. If they take their time, ECU will have to look into other alternatives. But he plays a defensive end position. Pass rusher would be another Houston Cougar. So coming to the Pirates. So that's not a done deal yet, but there's the latest there. Thick Poppy. So I don't know, Philip. The transfer portal sometimes brings weird situations, and apparently we're seeing a Houston to ECU pipeline develop, just like we all predicted.
I know, it does seem like that. You know, part of the reason some of this stuff's not happening as fast as they wanted, I think Tegan said this on the record yesterday. I don't think it was when we were talking to him before, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing this, that there's a lot more paperwork than people realize. He said that, like, yes, he's official, he is coming, but, like, so there's still some, like, application stuff he's still filling out. And, yes, he's already, like, moved into a house here. So this isn't as easy as it should be. Anytime you're dealing with the NCAA, it's going to be a pain in the rear end. And so that's part of the reason that you're seeing, you know, I know a lot of people are like, well, dang, the semester starts Monday. But if you even remember last year, we had some guys that, you know, it didn't become official till like Tuesday or Wednesday of the week in which school started. So that's 7 days from now. So, look, stuff's going to happen. Now, I do have one question for you, Igo. You mentioned them want to add a couple more linebackers. Let's say, hypothetically, they don't. But they add another guy at safety that they really like. I know Tegan said all the right things. He's okay moving to linebacker, and I believe him. I really do. What are your thoughts on Tegan Wilk as a Sam if, for some reason, we feel more comfortable in the safety room than we do the linebacker room?
Right now, I would put Tegan Wilk. I'd put him at Sam for spring practice. I mean, I guess the thing is, you know he can play it, so maybe try him at safety first, but you know, right now they've got KJ Merrill, who's a freshman who will be a sophomore, and Javian Clark, who is coming off a major knee injury. As far as I know, that's it, projected to play Sam. So I'm sure they would like to add a player there. But that, you know, one guy for spring practice, not going to do it. Now they can move some safeties around. Typically the Sam is an extension of the safety position. You want to run defender in that role. And Tegan, he'll be the first to say it. Look, he is a good tackler. He's probably a better run defender than a pass coverage guy. Which is why he would play boundary safety over field safety, so he could play closer to the line of scrimmage. So the good thing with Teagan is he can play both, and he can play both, so that kind of gives you some roster flexibility. I would also try to move Sam Danka back to Sam, because I think at this point he's not going to be able to get to 240, 50 pounds like maybe you originally hoped at edge. So those are my thoughts there, Philip. I don't know. I do think you have some flexibility with 3 or 4 guys on defense that you can kind of move some puzzle pieces around to add some few defensive spots, which is a good thing for Blake Harrell. All right, we got to get our final break in. Good question, though. We'll come back. We will wrap up the show after this. We've got a question on the DB coach situation. I got to get into that as well. So we'll close with that. On the other side, this is Hoist the Colors.
This holiday season, get the gift you really want at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Drive a new Corolla, just $229 a month, or a new Tacoma, only $329 a month during the holiday trade-up at Greenville Toyota.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Hey, on the mountain we've got a saying. Get off your... Show off.
Mountain Dew. The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves tiebreakers.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Unwrap a new Toyota for the holidays at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Get a new Camry, $269 a month, or a new RAV4, $329 a month. Trade up and save at Greenville Toyota.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo.
Drink up for me, Aussie Joe Ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome in. Final segment here. Hoist the Colors. Got a couple minutes left, so I'll try to address this question quickly. Todd Moser says, what is the update on the DB coach position? All right, so Damon Magazu, obviously still coaching safeties. He's on the road recruiting in Charlotte today, actually, with Blake Harrell. The cornerbacks coach is the question. So Jules Montanar left for Oklahoma State. A lot of the corners left after he did. And you're still looking to fill that position. ECU was expected to hire Jason Jones, former North Carolina cornerbacks coach. We discussed that on the show last week. Looked like a solid hire. He actually got to town, was basically moving into his office, ready to roll. This past weekend, all of a sudden, he got a call from Alabama, his alma mater, to be an assistant defensive backs coach. With that, he got a multi-year deal. With that, he got more money. And it's his alma mater. So he did not sign the paperwork at ECU to make it official. I don't know if that was in the works. Probably so if he didn't sign the paperwork. But I doubt he would have verbally accepted the job offer if he didn't think at the time, or if he did think at the time it was going to happen. So something changed between when he accepted the ECU job and was starting to move here to then getting the job at Alabama. So I don't blame Jason Jones for leaving after accepting the ECU job, but it never became official because he never signed the papers. So ECU is still in the market for a cornerbacks coach. Expect Jason Jones to officially latch on with the Crimson Tide. The good news is you've got the coaches convention coming up this week, or next week, I should say, starting Monday. That runs through a lot of next week. So basically you've got full-on job interviews happening throughout the convention. Blake Harrell will still hire a quality cornerbacks coach. It's just the timing was not ideal there. So there is your rundown on the cornerbacks coaching position. And, we'll see. Former ECU safeties coach Trip Weaver just got let go at Austin Peay. I don't know if there's a possibility he could return as corners coach, but there's a lot of possibilities out there from Josh Alders and Blake Harrell. All right, we're out of time. Hope that answered your question, Todd. Philip, appreciate you today producing the program. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon. We got Brady Thomas, Hoist the Colors intern, in studio. We'll be talking ECU Temple, reacting to it, and much more with the college football playoff and the NFL playoffs coming up as well. We will talk to you then.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon